to CREED News Hour, where our cryptid and paranormal stories come directly from you, our viewers. Settle in as we take you to a personal account of the things that go bump in the night.
Sunshine of our life. My wife and I can't live without her. But 4 years back, we almost lost her to a terrible accident. It all started when Lisa turned 5 years old. I'm a graphic designer, and my wife teaches at a preschool. So basically, I'm a full-time dad as well. I love spending time with my kid, but whenever I get too busy with work, I give Lisa small tasks to keep her busy until my work is done. Among every activity, Lisa loves to draw. This is some habit she picked up from a very young age. Whatever she thinks or likes, she sketches them on her drawing book with her tiny little hands, and I just adore this quality in her. So it was a regular Monday evening. My wife watched TV in the living room, and I was working in my studio. Lisa played with her monster truck sitting on the couch right next to me. She is a quiet kid, which is why I loved having her around, even though I was working. Everything was fine until she struck up a weird conversation with me. "Daddy?" Without taking my eyes off the computer screen, I replied, "Yes, my darling? Can I ask you a question?" "Sure, what is it?" "Can Spike sleep in my bed tonight?" Hearing this unknown name, I turned to look at her. She was still playing with her monster truck in the same casual way. "Who is Spike?" "My friend." "Is he a friend from school?" "No, he lives under my bed." I frowned and thought this was a bit unusual. I never expected Lisa would have happened to have an imaginary friend. So out of mere curiosity, I asked, "Why does he live under your bed?" Lisa looked at me and shrugged her shoulders, saying, "I don't know." Realizing this was just a phase and it was pretty normal for kids to have imaginary friends, I said, "Sure, he can sleep on your bed if that's what makes you happy." She gave me a joyful smile, and the matter ended there, at least for then. The next morning I came downstairs and my wife said Lisa asked for an extra pillow last night when she went to tuck her into bed. I worked late nights, so I had no idea this happened. My wife further told me that Lisa said it was for her friend Spike and that I had permitted him to sleep on her bed. Recalling the conversation with my daughter yesterday, I explained everything to my wife. Though I didn't bother much about this imaginary friend thing, my wife certainly didn't seem happy about it. She said I shouldn't encourage such behavior, as it was pretty creepy. I laughed at her thoughts, but within the next few weeks, I too realized that something was wrong about this entire thing. It was a rainy afternoon. Lisa was out to see her grandma with my wife, and I was cleaning the house out of boredom. I entered Lisa's room thinking to arrange her toys when I noticed her sketchbook peeking from under her pillow. It was as if she purposely kept it there so that no one could see it. My curiosity got the best of me, and I opened her sketchbook. The first 3 pages were fine. The horror began on page 4. On page 4, Lisa had drawn something very disturbing. She drew all 3 of us standing in our garden, holding hands, but there was a 4th character in the picture as well. A human figure that looked like a kid was also standing beside us, except the kid had no face, and there was a big hole in his head. Above his character, Lisa wrote his name, Spike. Feeling freaked out by this, I waited for my daughter to come home to confront her about it. When she came home, I showed her the drawing and asked, "Is this your friend Spike?" She quickly looked at me and then, scaring the hell out of me, looked behind me, as if someone was standing behind me. I quickly turned around, but I didn't see anyone. By this time, my wife also noticed the tension between us, so she quietly stood beside me. "What is there, Lisa?" "Nothing." "You didn't answer my question. Is this your friend Spike?" "Yes." "Why does he have a hole in his head?" "Oh, Daddy, you're so silly. That's not a hole. That's his eye." What? Where's his other eye then?" "He has no other eye. He's my one-eyed friend." At this point, I could feel a cold wave of fear rush down my spine. My wife and I exchanged a fearful look, and then I crouched down to Lisa's level. I didn't want to come out strong, because kids can be very impressionable in moments like these. With my trembling hands, I caressed her cheek and said, "Why does Spike have one eye?" "He says he was born different. That's why his mommy and daddy didn't want him." My wife's face turned completely pale, like she was going to have a heart attack. I too was shocked and didn't know what to say for a while. I let out a deep breath and said, "What else did Spike tell you?" "He said you and Mommy want a little brother for me, and once he comes, you will not want me anymore." Now this is where I almost shat my pants. Last night, my wife and I did have a conversation about trying for a boy so that Lisa could have a sibling. But there's no way Lisa could know about it. It all happened in utmost privacy, and I can assure you that when we had this conversation, Lisa was deeply asleep in her room. My wife almost burst out into tears, and I immediately hugged Lisa, saying, No, that's never going to happen. Mommy and I will always love you the same way we do now. I don't know where you're thinking all this, darling. You know Spike is not real, right? He's just in your mind. You won't even remember him once you grow up. This is all just a... Before I could finish, the light bulb in our living room burst with a bang, shattering broken glass everywhere. We were so stunned by this unexpected event that we all froze like statues. That night, we all slept in our room, and I decided to stay with my parents, taking my family away for a while. It was around 2:15 in the morning when I heard a weeping sound coming from a close distance. The room was in darkness, and the only source of light was the moonlight coming from the window behind me. I opened my sleepy eyes and saw a kid standing near my feet and weeping. Thinking it was Lisa, I said in a dizzy voice, "Lisa, why are you crying? It's late. Come on, sleep between Mommy and Daddy. Good girls don't cry." But she kept weeping constantly. Her entire body was in darkness, so I could barely see her face. Being a bit surprised that my wife couldn't hear any of this, and I was sleeping like a rock, I got up on my bed to grab Lisa's hand. As I stretched my hand towards hers, she, too, placed her hand on mine. Her hand was so cold that it almost gave me frostbite. "What the hell? Why is your..." Saying this, I looked beside me and saw Lisa sleeping like a rock, and so was my wife. As I slowly turned back to this unknown kid standing near my bed, my heart dropped into my stomach. A distorted, tiny human figure resurfaced from the dark. The moonlight fell on its face, and I realized I had been talking to my daughter's imaginary friend, Spike, this whole time. Lisa was right. The kid had only one eye, located right between his head. His skin was horrible, filled with red patches. It seemed like he had been burnt. He kept staring at me with one eye and then blinked. Slowly, tears of blood started to drip from his eye when he opened his mouth, letting out a silent scream. I couldn't bear this terrifying sight anymore, and I ended up crying out loud. My wife and Lisa woke up, hearing my spine-chilling scream, and switched on the lights. As soon as the lights hit the room, the scary kid was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't sleep the entire night, and neither my wife, though I told her it was just a nightmare. She felt something off-putting about my behavior. The next morning, I left the house and went to stay with my parents. I told my dad about this entire messed up incident, and he did some digging on the previous owner of the house. We found out that there lived a family of 3 before us, the Carmens. Mr. and Mrs. Carmen had a son who was prematurely born. Unfortunately, the kid died due to complications when he was 5 years old. It was said that the kid was born with a single eye, and his name was Spike. His parents despised him, and no one knows how exactly the kid died. Some even say his parents killed him out of anguish and hatred. That was the last time I saw Spike. Lisa suddenly stopped talking about him after we shifted to a new house. If you ask me, I feel really bad for that poor kid. If anyone deserved to die, it was his horrible parents.